What was your takeaways from the mini camp?
I think Caleb had his best day on Wednesday, which was the day that Ben and I asked him about, what happened in that 7-on-7. He kind of lit into him because he checked out the ball down to Roshan Johnson. And it was refreshing to hear an honest answer as to what the quarterback did wrong and what he can do better. You were late, be on time. End of story. And that's cool because you've seen that translate from practice to practice. And it did. He had some up and down days during OTAs. The first day of minicamp didn't reveal anything special, but it's neat to see the quarterback putting the coaching points together and putting them to use. And even yesterday when they do their 4-minute offense and their 2-minute offense, and he's able to cap that off with a touchdown, both of them, I thought it's impressive. I mean, they're really asking a lot of this unit right now to test where they need to improve and areas where I think they're proficient. Like the other day, they had that 94-yard touchdown drive when it's, in their 2-minute drill to, really test their patience, test their ability to go tempo, to think on the fly, to think quickly. And for a quarterback who, had been in those situations before, can you cap off these game-winning drives and can you do it? And can you help your team win games? Like that's a practical exercise that you're seeing that I think is really going to benefit not only the whole offense of knowing how to be precise and sharp in those moments, but also the quarterback for, being able to close the deal. Because we had seen him so many times last year, late in games, when it's a one-score game and the Bears have a chance to win and then they don't. It didn't all fall on Caleb, but to be able to rep those moments in practice as much as they have been this early, not waiting to training camp to get there, but doing it in the spring, I think is critical to his development.
Courtney, can you talk about your piece on ESPN.com? The piece is entitled Why Film Study is Key for Bears Quarterback Caleb Williams. You worked on this piece with Sarah Barshop. Could you help us out about what you learned about not just Caleb and the controversial question about whether or not he was alone watching film, but other quarterbacks having kind of relating to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've told you guys, the only thing I cared about from the book that was relevant to right now is how this is being remedied. I don't care about him and his dad not wanting to come to Chicago initially and all that stuff. That's old news. But film study is critical for the development of quarterbacks. And a lot of guys felt like Caleb did as a rookie, where you're kind of lost in there. It's a lot to learn, especially when, I think we forget that quarterback room last year had 4 games of starting experience combined when Caleb became QB1. And those 4 games came from Tyson Bagent when Fields was injured in 2023. It's almost crazy to think about what they insulated Caleb with last year and thinking that was going to be enough. Nobody is the blind leading the blind. These are rookies. These are young quarterbacks. They don't know what they don't know. And that's what I gathered from talking with Alex Smith, with talking with Case Keenum about this. When you come from college, especially systems like Keenum did, Keenum was in the air raid at Houston. Obviously, there's the Lincoln Riley connection there, Cliff Kingsbury, the whole thing. Caleb was in a similar spot with Lincoln from Oklahoma to USC. And this is something that didn't make it in the piece, but one thing I found interesting talking with people for this story is that quarterbacks who are in those types of offenses where the reads are quick. You're not asking the quarterback to do that much. You're running maybe 20 to 25 plays total, and you're repping them over and over again. The learning curve is steeper when you get to the NFL because the depth of information that you're supposed to know to be successful is so much more. And that's not just what you have to do on offense. That's the defensive stuff too that you have to process, which all quarterbacks go through. Because you may see what Alex Smith told me. He saw 3 defenses his entire, college career as a starter at Utah, and that's tough. So I think the way that Caleb's going to have to learn this year, he won't have to do it on his own because not just Ben Johnson having a vested interest in making this work and making Caleb the smartest and best quarterback he can be. You've got somebody in the room who has 11 years of experience, some as a starter, some as a backup, and some as a practice squad quarterback. I thought what Tyson Bagent said yesterday really spoke to what Keenum brings to that room. He's been in everybody's shoes, and he has something to provide to each of those other quarterbacks that are in there. And that's something that's not just going to help Caleb learn how to digest film, how to know what questions to ask, how to be able to be comfortable saying, I don't want this play in here, get that out of the game plan. like that takes sometimes a veteran who's done it before, who has the cachet to be able to speak up, to teach the younger quarterbacks how to follow suit with that. So, I mean, I thought it was really interesting because that to me is a spin ahead angle on something that was clearly an issue for him last year.
You do not see Tyson Bagent as the 3, though. It's going to definitely be Bagent the 2 and Keenum the 3, right?
I think so. I think that's the way. I mean, just in hearing conversation around this team throughout the offseason. And yes, Ben Johnson said it's wide open right now for Keenum and for Bagent. I think that's because it's the offseason and they don't want to give jobs out just yet. Tyson Bagent has been the QB2 here for 2 years now, or 3 years now. I think something would have to go pretty awry during training camp for him to lose that job, but that's not to say that Keenum isn't pushing him every day. I think the two of them are given some good competition for the backup spot, and you know, if they don't dress 3 quarterbacks on a Sunday, I would imagine the QB2 would be Bagent. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if something like crazy happened during training camp, because you have 2 competitors. And you have somebody who's done it at a very high level before in Keenum, who was there in the quarterback room with C.J. Stroud last year, but also somebody who they believe in very clearly in Tyson Bagent. I think it's Bagent's job to lose, and that's the way that it's been positioned to him, to everybody else in that room, that there's going to be competition until there's not. But I would say even when they're switching reps back and forth, like yesterday, he didn't get any of the team reps when they did this drill where they were down 2 scores late and had to lead two drives. That was Keenum in that spot. Will that be the case in training camp? I imagine they're going to get both of those guys a lot of reps behind Caleb, but I still think it's Tyson's job to win.
So, Courtney, what's next on the Bears' calendar? Do you get a chance to just take a pause and then get back into it?
Yeah, so they've got an OTA next on Tuesday, and Rome Odunze said he's coming. So but what Ben Johnson said was it's for young players and special teams guys. So the vets will be gone, but does that mean Caleb Williams will be there? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting thinking about, Rome's a top 10 pick, but he still feels that he doesn't have the credence to be like, I'm out, I'll see you guys in late July. He wants to be there putting in the work. I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb is there as well, because they need somebody to throw the ball to, the players. And, if Keenum's gone, if Bagent's gone, sounds like he's got his birthday party in West Virginia he's got to go to at the water park. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Caleb and Austin Reed next week, along with some of the other young players.
Courtney, enjoy your break. You earn it. You work amazingly hard, and we love having you on our show.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Take care.
See you.